Hello and welcome everybody to today's very special video. I am here with Stephanie Stephan and we are talking about collaboration. Again, similarities that we find in our work, things that we find that we are discovering when we talk with people, and things in general that really help move our lives forward. Now, the topic of interest today is all about animals, how they communicate with us, what they can do for us, and how they can help us to live more presently. Before we get onto all of that exciting information, let's tell us a little bit about yourself, Stephanie, so that our viewers and listeners can really get to have a feel for who you are.
Thank you, Dagmar. It's always an honor to be here with you. I am Stephanie, an animal energy healing practitioner. I have different kinds of Reiki that I have been studying and working on for the last decade or plus. And I've been working with animals either at home, my own animals, or pet sitting animals from somebody else, or also sanctuaries where animals have been rescued and protected from neglect and abandonment and cruelty. So I've had a good gamut of experience across all different kinds of animals, not just the ones that live with us. So I am excited to have this conversation with you.
Oh, awesome. Well, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Dagmar Bryant. I am a coach as well as host of the Angelic Footprints podcast. I basically help women, successful women, who find that they've come to a point in their life and they're wondering what's next or what is this all about? Isn't there more? Because I really thought that there would be more. And a lot of women do get to that juncture, even though that they're very successful. And my goal is to give them that inner joy and sense of purpose. Now, animals can definitely do that for us to help us to live more presently because we're living in a very fast forward moving life. What would you say about animals helping us live more presently, Stephanie?
Yes, one of the things that happens when we are in a very fast paced world where we are always thinking, analyzing, problem solving, assessing, and we're using our brains all the time, animals do not require us to think. They are next to us, and their pure company, their pure presence just slows us down to a point where we feel relaxed. And we did not have to think about it. We did not have to come to a conclusion as to, oh, let me figure out how am I going to be able to relax myself today? Or how am I going to be able to slow down today? We didn't have to think it through. We didn't have to make a plan. We didn't have to follow any particular steps. The moment we see our animal, boom, we're like, oh, it's beautiful. And they are incredible teachers in the sense that we might have been using our head and our mind, our brains the entire day. But the moment we see
Yeah.
our animals, we stop. We stop. We're feeling the love in our heart, and thoughts cease to come and invade our mind. We are in a moment of pure presence. And they did that for us. They are the ones that do it. And we are thinking, well, they're not giving me any information. I want to know this or I want to know that. The best communication that they transmit to us is actually switch from all this brain activity into being in our heart and just being, not doing. And that's the beauty of the animal. So totally I totally feel that they are absolute teachers. They're masters at bringing us into the present moment.
I love how you said that. They are masters about bringing us into the present moment. And that reminds me of a story. It only happened a few mornings ago. And Grace, one of our cats, we have two, she came and jumped on the bed and it was like, you have to pay attention to me right now, all of you. And it was like, okay, I'm going to do that. And she just lay there and we just did some fussing and some eye contact and just looking at each other. And it was just such a beautiful, tranquil moment because there was nothing else going on. There was nothing else to do. There was nothing else more important in that moment than just making sure that all of my attention was on her. Unfortunately, we don't always listen. And I know that a lot of people around COVID got dogs. They actually got more dogs rescued during that time because people wanted that connection to their animals to really help them through that difficult time. And I do believe that animals can definitely help us, whether we are stressed, whether we're grieving, whether we're losing the having a loss of a relationship, so they can help us through all sorts of turmoil in our lives,
Mhm.
which is invaluable for our health and well-being. What would you say about animals helping us with our health and well-being?
One of the things that they are also extremely good at, and we do not necessarily pay attention to, is that they mirror what is going on with us, and they acquire that in their own bodies so that we can pay attention to ourselves by paying attention to them. So, for example, if I am having some sort of let's say, a medical condition that is stemming from some sort of an emotional trauma that I haven't healed myself, and then it develops into something physical in my body that is bothering me. The animal, a lot of times, what they do is they're going to mirror that condition so that we're not paying attention to ourselves, but we're paying attention to them. And they are telling us, hey, you have to take care of yourself. So it is one of those things that is incredible that they have the ability to do that for us because they want us healthy. They want us to be in a state of well being. They want us to be thriving all the time. And if we are not, they will tell us. And they will not use words, but they will mirror us. So next time that you see that your cat or anyone else, that your dog is having some sort of an issue, it does beg the question: do I have something similar in me that perhaps I need to pay attention to as well? Because if it goes away in me, it will go away in them as well. I've seen this over and over again over time. It is incredible. And we always think they're separate bodies, they're separate beings, they're separate creatures, but they are so energetically connected to us that what bothers us bothers them, and so it will manifest in their bodies. So that's what I have encountered in my practice is the animals will help us to stay healthy by them showing us what kind of things we need to take care of in ourselves.
Yeah. I totally agree with that because I believe that with our animals, we can have a very symbiotic relationship. And that's what I say about our cats because we understand each other so well because we've taken the time to be with them, to have that connection with them. Anyone who has that with their animals will really be able to relate to this conversation, this symbiotic relationship that yes, they do mirror us. They also tell us things in their own way. For example, my cat, she's sitting in here now. She was insistent on wanting to be in the room when we're doing this conversation. And normally it comes to around 4 o'clock in the afternoon and she's boom, she's like in here, plonked herself down. Mummy, you need to get out of that seat because you've been sitting in that seat in front of that computer way too long. Today, she knows we're having a conversation. She's over there in her little basket and she's happy as anything because she knows that she's totally at peace and that's what she's meant to be doing. Isn't that funny how, as you say, they mirror or they just know, don't they?
Yes, I know, and I'm pretty sure that you love this about your cat is that in the moment you are so caught up in whatever it is that you are doing that you are not aware that you've been in that chair sitting for too long, but your cat knows, and your cat is coming without using any words, without saying, "Hey, mom, get out of there." Is not using words, but your cat is coming and very, very clearly expresses the need that you need to do something different than what you have been doing, and will use their body in any way, shape, or form in order to make you move. And I love that. That's why when you probably are talking and you notice that your cat comes and then the tail just passes by your face and it's like, what are you doing? I'm talking to somebody. And those things happen, right? Well, it's not just by coincidence, or it's just like, oh, it's my cat misbehaving. No, no, it's the cat is so intentional in doing that. Is doing it on purpose because it is telling you, switch, switch what you're doing, change what you're doing. There is this moment you need to change, and is constantly assessing your energy. So your energy may be dropping, you do not even know, but your cat notices, and your cat is saying, time to freshen up your energy, get up, move, get out of here. And that's when the cat comes in. So it for many people it feels like, oh my gosh, my cat is so annoying. I cannot talk to my friends, and it's just like on my face. But the cat is doing that for you, and is just a sign of love that is telling you, I know what is going on with your own body, even though you don't. So let me show you what to do next. It's just awesome. So you've noticed that, right? Is that something that has happened to you?
Oh, all the time. I mean, Grace especially, that's the one, she's in the room with me. She's totally black cat. And the other one, yeah, maybe not so much, but Grace definitely. And I know that it's not just cats. I'm an unapologetic cat lover. I love them to absolute bits. If I see a cat in the street, I'll go up and pat it and talk to it or whatever. But I know that animals overall can do that for us. It doesn't just have to be a cat, doesn't just have to be a dog. In fact, you've just reminded me of a story. A friend of mine from Australia, she had undergone an operation. Now, this was quite a few years ago, and she's, I think, got 2 or 3 dogs. But this one dog, because the operation was near her stomach and she had some stitches, the dog actually came up to her and had a little bit of a sniff and then just like as if there's no, 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 mummy, there's something really wrong here. There's something wrong with what's happening
Mhm.
with either the stitches or with what's happened with the operation. And it made her really go back and have a look, go back to her doctor. She actually went to the hospital to have it looked at. And it turned out that, oh, don't, I know, do you know what? I'm not actually going to say, but there was something associated with her, with the healing of the stitches that needed to be attended to.
Mhm.
Otherwise, she would have suffered some kind of shock.
Right.
So it was very lucky that her dog was onto that. She didn't even know. She wasn't even feeling unwell, but it must have been something about the smell of the way that the blood was clotting that the dog right away knew. Have you heard of many instances like that yourself?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I have not been rescued by my own dog physically from some sort of a physical danger. Fortunately, I haven't had that, but I have read experiences from people that have been rescued where the dog is smelling something and is barking and taking the person, forcing the person to get out of the room before something collapses or some sort of a tragic event occurs. And if that person had not left the room on time, would have been dead. So it happens. It's been recorded. It has been also I've seen in the news as well where there's cases like that. It is the fact that they are so energetically connected to the environment. It's not just us. Obviously, there is a very strong bond with the humans they live with, but they are connected to all of the environment. Everything that surrounds them is energy that they can perceive and read very well, and we are not as connected, so we miss all those signs, and we miss it. We don't see things happening or coming, but they do, and they will tell us. Again, not using words. This is a constant communication that is happening where they say, oh my gosh, you are in danger. I'm going to take care of you because you clearly are oblivious of it. I'm going to take you out of here. And they do all kinds of whatever it is. They will bark. They will grab you with their teeth. They will grab you, pull you out. It's unbelievable the things that and all animals have this ability, not just the dog. It's just that because we live mostly with dogs and cats, we notice that with them. But chickens can tell us when something wrong is going to happen. They will just go crazy, and they're like, "What is going on?" Um, Cows in the field, they can sense anything that is going to happen before. Like I used to live, one of the countries that I lived had lots of earthquakes, and the cows will be moving away when the earthquake is coming hours before the earthquake would happen, and they will put themselves in a safer place. We as humans, we do not do that. We do not feel it coming. So if we are more connected to the energy of the land and the energy of nature, we will be sensing that. But because we don't, the animals are there and they're helping us so that we can also stay safe. It is just so wonderful that communication happens. It's not just like, oh, I want to have chicken for dinner, or it's not that. Is bigger than that. The communication is how for us to be safe and healthy and happy at all times, and they take care of us all the time. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. And your topic, you just touched on something lovely, which I was going to cover a little bit later, but let's do that now because you talked about animals taking care of us. And it is such a beautiful thing because often we think of ourselves being human, that we are the more, I guess, smarter of the races. That's not necessarily so by the sounds of everything that we're talking about today, because as you say, they can pick up on danger. They can pick up on the energy of the earth, like through storms, for example, or earthquakes. But animals also have that beautiful healing ability. With I noticed a lot, especially when I was living in the US, a lot of animals are considered now. I have to think of the right name, but like care animals that they look after the
Therapy?
support animals,
Oh,
like
yes.
support dogs and things like that. And I noticed a lot of that happening in the US. What would you say to people who are experiencing stress or experiencing anxiety, or maybe they're even claustrophobic? Can an animal help them with conditions like that?
Yes, I think one of the things that happens is that we are so far removed from nature that we have no idea how to ground ourselves. And when we do not feel grounded, we are not in touch with the earth, but like literally in touch with the soil. We start developing all kinds of neurotic conditions like anxiety or depression or other, or compulsive behaviors or obsessive behaviors. There is a whole gamut of different things that can happen when we are not connected to the earth. And the animals that we usually have with us have four legs. They are double grounded than we are, double, because instead of walking on the earth with two legs, they walk on the earth with four. So they are constantly is 200% more grounded than we are, and they are teaching us, hey, this is a better way of connecting with the earth if you just stay here for a moment. This is why the dogs pull us out to go for walks. This is why the cats are just like, pay attention to me. In this moment, you need connection. I will be your connection to the earth. I already
Yeah.
am connected, so I will be that transmitter. So that you touch me, you will get grounded. It is amazing how they are able to do that. So if we feel overwhelmed, chances are it's not something that is happening in our hearts, it's something that is happening in our brain, because in that moment we are reliving something traumatic, or we are going nonstop and we cannot stop our minds to just take a moment and breathe. And the animals are making us stop. They are taking that conscientious action to get our attention so that we can get out of our minds and be in the moment and be in our hearts. The moment that we do that switch, the overwhelm lessens. It's mitigated. And and if we are just in nature a little bit more, then we will feel a lot less the overwhelm because we will be less in our minds. And they bring us outside. They are just wanting to be outside, to bring us with them, so that we also experience that groundedness in less overwhelm. So it's amazing. And they do all of this without talking, without even saying a word. But they are so clear in their message that we cannot ignore them, because they will make sure that we do what they're asking. And so I believe that if we just allow them to guide us to a more peaceful space, like, oh, let's go to the yard and play for a little bit. When we walk back into the house, we are not feeling as overwhelmed as we were before. Who did that? Who did that? It was not us. They did that for us. And so every single time that they are getting our attention, we follow their lead because they're the ones that are knowing us so much better than we know ourselves, that if we listen, we will feel much better. So that goes with anxiety, that goes with depression. They will get us into a space of just relax, just be in that moment. And then our mind will stop for a second. It's our mind that we need to train. We need to just allow them to help us train our mind so that we don't have to be constantly using it. We don't need to. We don't have to be using our minds all the time. We can just switch back and forth. When we need to think, we think. But when we need to be, we can just be. If we just let them do that for us, it would be a much peaceful, balanced experience for sure. Have you noticed how your cats, you may be having a really hard day, but just the look of your cat or even just the thought of your cat just brings you to a more peaceful space. Is your mind relaxes, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely, definitely. Both of my cats have got green eyes, and I look at those little green eyes, and my heart just absolutely wants to melt. It's like, "Oh, but you're looking at me like that." And then the other cat, her name is Della, she does the little licky thing as if to say, "Can I have some food now?" Or "Can I have a treat now?" Just anything. You say that they don't talk, but they do. To me, it is talking when we're really listening, when we're really paying attention, we do get to learn their language, and you can't tell me that they don't understand. They know very well that they're not supposed to scratch in certain places. When Della's being a naughty girl and she scratches the carpet, and I say, "No, use your scratching post," she looks at me as if to say, "Yeah, I got busted, busted." So they do know. And our animals, by the sound of everything that we're talking about today, not just about they're looking after our health and well-being. They're looking after our overall mental capacity, about our physical well-being. Hey, if they want us to play, then who doesn't want more time to play? We forget as adults to play. We get so focused on the intensity of just getting through each day. For some of us, it's just actually quite a burden, and we, as you say, we get into our head of just being in that space, and our animals have that capacity to be able to say, "Hold on, no, stop," and it gives us that opportunity to have more conscious living, if you like.
Right, right, absolutely. And you touched on something that I didn't talk about that I would like to highlight is that the playtime. We think that, oh, that's childish. I'm an adult. I have responsibilities. I have a busy life. I don't have time for that. That's just like nice to say, but that's not important, or at least not as important as I would like to think. Play is probably the one thing that can keep everyone healthy and happy, because the moment that we allow ourselves to play, and if we carve time every day to actually have fun and enjoy, like animals teach us, because if all we need to do is emulate them, they're playing every day. They with or without us, but they are playing. What they do is they increase their frequency. When they increase their frequency, the energy of their bodies is vibrating at a healthier level. Then diseases and conditions don't develop. Then we are in a healthier physical body. And as a result of that, we are also in a healthier mental state. Because when we are having fun, it's not possible to be stressing at the same time. But when we are focused on the busyness of life and we do not have fun, that's when we develop stress. And stress is the source of all kinds of illnesses. So by playing, what we are actually doing is therapy to ourselves, is not allowing the stress to take over. We are keeping stress at bay. So animals are teaching us every single day, "I'm playing, come and join me. I'm playing, can you do the same?" If we do that every single day, regardless of how busy we are, if we carve time and we prioritize our health by playing, then we will keep stress at bay and we will not be having as many conditions as we currently have in society. So it's amazing what it can do. So we think it's just like, oh, animals, they're like, not as intelligent as we are. I beg to differ. I believe that they are masters at so many things, and they're here to teach us. And yeah, you're right. And they do not talk in terms of actual human words, but they are constantly communicating with us. Constantly. They never stop communicating with us. Either energetic transmissions or teaching us the way to do things or getting our attention so that we can switch in the moment. They're constantly communicating. So if we open our minds a little bit and we just expect the communication to be just there, flowing all the time without expecting actual words, human language, then we will notice, oh yeah, they're always talking to us. Always. It's awesome.
Well, if you think about it, I guess it's what you just touched on too. They raise their vibration when they're playing, but it's all about frequency when you think about it. We are operating on frequencies, and that's how we can communicate. And I think too, there have been some significant studies. I'd love to be able to lay my hand on one specific one for the podcast, but I can't right now. But I know that there have been specific studies on the effect of animals when they get taken into places like hospitals, like aged care facilities, and even places like schools and kindergartens. Human beings, when we have those animals around us, there's you can be as hardened and difficult, have had so many challenges, and you see an animal and everybody just goes, "Oh, I just wanna pat them," or, "I just wanna be with them," or, "I just wanna touch them," or something, and it just changes that vibration, it just changes that frequency, and as you say, that can make all the difference to our health and well-being, most certainly.
Yes, yes. I believe that cats' frequency resonates at about 180 hertz. So the moment that you touch a cat, your blood pressure goes down. It's already medically tested and proven that that is happening. The actual texture of the fur of the dogs, the moment that we connect with their fur, also sends an energetic signal into our nervous system to relax. And so just that connection before we even start petting, just the actual touch itself, it's already bringing our nervous system to a place of, oh, you're not in danger, you can relax. And it's something that we can tell ourselves with words, in human words. It's like, yeah, sure, relax, and nobody can. But the moment you touch, then our nervous system understands, yes, it is true, you're safe. And the
Yes.
dogs can do that as well. So they are true therapy. They're true medicine is what it is. They are true medicine. So yeah, I love the fact that as soon as we see an animal, it's like, oh, our heart, we go from thinking into feeling. And it's that switch that happens where we start feeling love instead of, oh, what do I need to do next in my day? And so that is I don't know if people understand to what extent that is an actual miracle of life, that they have that ability to do that. How many times are we able to just switch from thinking to not thinking? How good are we at doing that? We normally we can't. We're so caught
Yeah,
up.
yeah,
But with an animal, oh, they can do it like in a split of a second. The moment we see an animal, everybody, like you said, everybody stops and it's like, and everybody in that moment open their heart. If you can see energy in that moment, everything is green. The heart chakra has just opened up. And it was just, nobody even realized what a beautiful miracle that was. That an animal was able to shut down everybody's mind for 1 second and experience the unconditional love in that one moment. And nobody thought about it, but everybody felt it. It's beautiful.
yeah. Well, it's a gift, if you like. It's a gift from them to us. And when we think about, there's a couple of things here that I want to address. We think about, firstly, social media and how people talk about. So there are aspects of social media that definitely aren't very positive,
Mhm.
but how popular it doesn't matter whether you go on TikTok, YouTube, or any of the channels, you see a cat or a dog video, everybody's gooing and garring, and they're the ones that get phenomenal views because of how popular they are. And not very often, but I don't go on Facebook very often, but I started looking at Maine Coons, like Maine Coons being the bigger cats. And it's like I'm just totally mesmerized by them. And when I'm supposed to be doing something else, it's like I'm watching this video of this Maine Coon. Sorry, Gracie, didn't mean to, but I got caught up in looking at this animal. And you talk about play. What I find interesting over the last sort of 10, 20 years, what's become a lot more popular again are things like board games. People are making time to have family time with traditional board games. That puzzles are crazy popular, whether we're talking about the ordinary jigsaw or even now the diamond puzzles. If you think about drawing, coloring in, adult coloring in. So there's definitely a need for playtime. So for any of you who are listening to this and who are thinking to yourself, yeah, but I don't have an animal or I can't get an animal, think about playtime as being such an important component of giving you that opportunity to pause, to reflect, to slow down. And I know for myself, sometimes I can be watching TV, but I want something to do with my hands. So I'll get one of my, adult coloring books out and just doing something on the side while I'm multitasking, as you do while you're watching a movie, just to slow things down and to, again, be present, be in the moment. But I'm with you. I would definitely have an animal first. But if you can't have an animal, well, think about playtime as being really important for your overall well being.
Yes, and I think that there is also a trend right now. I have noticed in France they have these new bookstores that are called chapitre, and in there's chapitre is like chapter of a book, but also chat is cat, and so it's basically combining cats within a bookstore, and all these cats have been rescued. These are not from a breeder. These are rescued cats that have been given a home inside a bookstore where you can go read books and have a cat with you. I think it's just phenomenal. And I also have noticed I believe it started in Japan, but it has spread all around the world where you can also go to a cat cafe, and so you can also have tea or coffee in a place, and then you are surrounded by cats that will come and greet you and you can pet them. So even if you do not have one at home, you can always go to places like that. But there are plenty of animals in shelters and sanctuaries that would absolutely love to have people come and just visit. You don't have to actually do work if you don't want to. Of course, they will appreciate if you do, but you can always come and just give them your love and company, and you will notice how awesome that you know pigs can behave like a dog, that they will just go and roll down and expect a belly rub, just like a dog does, or the cow that just follows you in the pasture because it wants more of your attention, or the horse that just leans their head on your shoulder because they just love you and they just want to be with you and they just put their big head on you. I mean, all of the animals are amazing, all of them. So if you do not have one, I would suggest I highly recommend because it's the highlights of my life. I would highly recommend that you look up where you can find a shelter or a sanctuary, and then you can volunteer there or you can go and visit. And you can actually go and read stories to them and they would just love it. Or you can if you sing or you play an instrument, they love music. They would just stop and they will all surround you and listen to you. They love, love, love music. The frequency that comes from your voice or from the instrument that you play, they absolutely will go crazy over it. And so it's I remember someone bringing I brought a singing bowl, a Tibetan singing bowl to play for a bison. And so she just lowered on the ground and just basically just laid down as long as I played. But I also remember another person who brought her entire set of crystal balls into the field, and all of the goats surrounded her because they all wanted to be bathed in that sound frequency. And I was just like, oh my gosh, every single one of them is just like loving it, loving it. They were soaking into the energy. So those experiences, you just don't get out of, you don't get that from watching TV or listening to the radio or going to watch a movie. But those experiences, if you have that interaction with an animal and you share energy and you receive theirs in return, there is nothing like that. It's just so beautiful. So who's going to be anxious and depressed when that's happening? Nobody.
That has got to be the message of the video today. I mean, I'm just gobsmacked with everything you've given us. In answer to your question, I have seen a few of the cafes here in London and various other places as well, cat cafes, and they actually have a little timesheet, like you have to actually book a place because they are so popular, definitely. But I love your idea. Absolutely love this idea of, well, why wouldn't you? If you can't own an animal, and that might be because you might only be living in a tiny little flat in a big city, or as you say, go and volunteer as an animal shelter, or even just spend some time there when you can, patting and loving the animals, because yes, it's nice that they're being sheltered, but by the same token, they don't have any owners yet. So why not give them some love, and they get that benefit as well as you getting that benefit? And I really hope our viewers and listeners can take that beautiful a message away to really help them with their well-being. Stephanie, before we finish up today, are there any last messages that you would like to present today?
I would like to just mention that animals, if we just follow their lead, then we can have a happier life. I wrote the book. We talked about it before, The Path to Unconditional Love, where I basically consolidate a lot of these animal stories and their lessons because they are such wise masters at living and thriving that if we just follow their lead, we will be so much happier in life. So I just want to emphasize how beautiful they are and how wise they are so that we can learn from them and have a much happier life and healthier life as well.
And Stephanie, how can someone get in touch with you in case they feel that they are drawn to you and want to work with you?
Oh, yes, thank you. I do have a podcast called Purrs, Barks, and Tweets with Love. And all of the different ways of getting a hold of me if I have events coming up, or my website is also posted in the notes of the podcast. And I also teach, and you can also find me in Kumara Academy, and that's online. So that's Kumara Academy. So if you want to learn a lot more about deepening that connection with the animals, then you can also find me in Kumara Academy.
Oh, thank you for that. So, for anyone who is resonating with what Stephanie has had to share today, then please do get in touch with her. If any of you have been listening to this video and you are interested in doing some work with me because you're at a junction in your life where you know that everything that you've achieved so far is not giving you that happiness, that joy, and that sense of purpose, then please do reach out for me. My name is Dagmar Bryant. I have a website, angelic-footprints.com. Do also check out the Angelic Footprints podcast, where I have wonderful guests like Stephanie and other guests, but we also have guided meditations and more information on angels and how they can help you live a more supported and fulfilled life. And I guess that's all for today. So thank you very much for tuning in. Do connect with Stephanie. Do connect with me. It would be absolutely our pleasure for you to get in touch and answer any questions that you have. Our links will be on the page, so do check out down below. And we really hope to hear from you sometime soon. Thanks, guys.